Hello and good day, everyone. My name is Dora Jok. I am the representative from Sarawak Museum, Malaysia. I support the Sarawak Museum in managing the collections in the department. Sarawak Museum is one of the most prominent landmarks in Kuching, Sarawak. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarawak Museum is the oldest museum in Borneo. The museum is exactly 130 years old this year. It was opened to the public on 4th August in 1891. The museum is home to many indigenous arts from a wide range of collections on Borneo. Therefore, Sarawak Museum has a prestige as the best museum on Bornean collection. The museum also engaged with the indigenous people in collecting artifacts. Through this collection, the indigenous people lifestyle and its material and immaterial culture were preserved. Sarawak has a population of 2.9 million, which consisting of more than 20 ethnic groups. Sarawak indigenous people are the Iban, Bidayu, Orang Ulu, and the Melanau, each with its own language, traditions, and distinct cultural characteristics, but living in harmony with each other. The main subject of the presentation is centered on the Bure Poles heritage and the preservation of ritual around these Bure Poles with the indigenous people. Therefore, I will only focus on Sarawak, which is representing Malaysia in this event. Sarawak has been known for its wood carving tradition. There is a large range of items showing carved ornamentation in wood such as doors, baby carriers, masks, statues, and intricately carved figures of the rhinoceros hornbill. The most magnificent is the elaborately carved Bure poles made by indigenous people of Sarawak. The Bure poles are variously named as Klireng, Kludan, Klideng, Jerunai, Lijeng by the Kajang, Punanba, Berawan, and Melanau. It is a very durable structure of solid ironwood from 5 meters to 11 meters high. These particular burial poles were used at the occasion of secondary burial as a prestige funerary rites for this aristocrat's family. It was the final resting place of the dead. Some burial pole was a mausoleum for one highly respected leader and his family. The poles embody a complex code of signals such as social rank, power, and it also reflects the surviving descendants' status within the society. It is a conspicuous permanent marker of the individual, family, and the society. The motif carved on the poles were of guardian spirits, of valuable materials, nature, and motifs that symbolize the social status of the owner and the family. The carving marked the highest standard of wood carving tradition in Sarawak. Even though the practice of this kind of burial were no longer continued over a century ago, the ritual related to the poles was still held when necessary in museum. There were 2 rituals of how indigenous knowledge around the burial poles in Sarawak Museum were taking place in 2020. I am sharing these rituals here because this is Sarawak Museum story and experience in retaining the indigenous knowledge and indigenous identity in Sarawak. Ritual number 1, ritual for the Sungai Ud Klideng Melanau Burial Pole, September 26, 2020. A mid-19th century Melanau Sungai Ud Klideng was moved to the new museum ground to be prepared for its restoration to be displayed in the upcoming new Borneo Cultures Museum. A ritual called Pada, led by Melanau community leader from Dalat, was held. Pok Mo, 68 years old, performed the ritual, assisted by his son, 44 years old Rudy. Other elders were the village chief, accompanied by young people. The main purpose of the ritual was to wake up the spirit of the dead who rested in the Klideng, at the same time to ask permission from the spirit to move the Klideng to a new location so that all the arrangement of relocation were in order and repel the bad forces. All items expressing meaning. For example, white cloth on the face or on the cover of the clothing was to cover the eyes of the spirit so that it is calm and will not disturb the audience during the process of cleaning and preparation to move the clothing. Second ritual, Bungan ritual on the Punan Bah clearing. A Bungan rite was held on October 15, 20 and 20 for the Bure pole that belonged to the indigenous Punan Bah. Bure pole in the language is clearing. This clearing is the oldest pole that we have in the collection, which was said to be of the mid-17th century clearing. Indigenous Punan Bah held the ceremony or the ritual to mark the journey or to mark the beginning of the clearing journey from its old location to the new permanent location, which is also at the Borneo Cultures Museum. The ritual was derived from the old religion called Bungan. Old and young generation involved in the ritual from Bintulu and Kuching City. The food offerings comprises of traditional delicacies mainly from rice, the staple food of the indigenous people in Sarawak. Other than that, chicken eggs, rice wine, local cigarettes, bitter leaves, and pig were offered. In this example, ritual was a way of knowing the meaning or function of certain offering items in the ritual. For example, the role of the pig in the ritual. Before this ritual, I thought pig was sacrificed in the ritual for its blood, and the spirit will come to feast on the blood. However, in this ritual, pig played a very important role to relay the message from the people on earth to the spirit of ancestors in the vast spiritual. A very simple term they told me was, pig in this ritual is like a telephone today to talk to a family or friends, which means pig is the medium for them to communicate or talk to the ancestors. The pig was prepared for its long journey. The pig was covered with the best cloth, put on the valuable and pricey beads, and fed with the rice wine. The gongs were beaten, the ground was hit with wood stick. All this was meant to awake the spirit from the air and from the ground. After the pig was slaughtered, the pig directed to find the ancestors who was buried in the poles and inform the ancestors about the ritual and ask the ancestors to come to feast to the offering. Then, after spoken to the pig spirit traveled high and low in the wide spirit world to find the ancestors and the people who sent the pig. Human cannot find where the ancestors were dwelling in the spirit world, but the pig could find them. Here, the indigenous people learn from the environment or surrounding. They rear pigs, and they see pigs are obedient, patient, and have a strong smell sense. The pig used its strong smell sense to find the ancestors, passionately traveled non-stop until the pig succeeded in its journey. When the pig found the ancestor, the pig conveyed all the messages that have been trusted to the pig from the shaman about the ritual they are having. Sarawak Museum's proactiveness to continue to engage the indigenous people when come to do ritual for their material culture help to preserve the indigenous knowledge. Consultation with indigenous knowledge bearers are crucial to avoid misinterpretation of the artifacts in museum. With the interpretation from the indigenous people perspective, it will give more meaning to the artifacts. The indigenous knowledge survived despite the use of poles and secondary burial was a thing of the past. Having said that, the elaborately mortuary practice has not really gone. It is become more colorful but getting less sculpture. The knowledge survived because the ritual that contributed to the identity as indigenous people. The survival of indigenous knowledge is not depending on one leader, not on one person, not on one shaman, but by the whole community and institutions such as Sarawak Museum that uphold the custom as the custodian of their human heritage. The indigenous people are united in mind and spirit to keep this knowledge flowing from past generation to current generation. Finally, before I end my presentation, I want to share one last picture. After the ritual, this family presented the sword to the museum that was used to slaughter the pig in the ritual. They wanted to leave a legacy in the museum which related to the clearing for their generation to remember about the past. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of Sarawak Museum's story and experience in keeping the indigenous knowledge of the indigenous people in Sarawak through its burial poles collections. Thank you for listening and wishing all of you a fruitful event today.